The way of podcasting connects all things before your birth and after your death. Because Avatar, The Way of Water, is coming up.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenay. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time. And today that is Tommy.
Yeah.
Avatar, The Way of the Water, maybe our most hyped episode ever, because if you've ever heard Tommy talk snippets about the original Avatar, he loves it. He absolutely loves it. He can't stop singing the praises of James Cameron's visual masterpiece. I use the word visual there because we have to be very clear. And if you
Yeah.
can't tell by my tone, I'm being facetious right now. Tommy hated the original Avatar so much. Because when this came out, I remember texting you being like, hey, did you, because whatever episode we did when this movie came out, I saw this in theaters. We definitely talked about it briefly when it came out. And you're just like, I have negative interest in this movie.
Yeah, because that's when we first started doing like our what have you watched recently type thing. And you spent a whole segment. And there's sometimes when we'll cover new releases where like you'll be like, okay, we'll talk about this. And like, have you seen this yet? I'm like, no. So it's just 20 like 10 minutes of you just talking at me about like, so this is what this movie is like. So I remember when I've seen Avatar, the first one, only twice. And the first time was when it first came out. Was like,
Everybody saw it. Everybody human saw
yeah,
it.
everybody saw it back then, and I was like, nothing special, whatever. I think I like passed out a little bit during it. And then when Way of Water came out, they like a few months before they were doing like, oh, let's do like a rescreening of like the original Avatar.
Yeah, James Cameron wanted to get his box office record back from Marvel.
Literally. So I looked back and I was like, okay, like maybe like I should get back to it. Like maybe I should give it another chance. Like 13 years later, now I'm in my like late 20s. Like maybe I'll appreciate Avatar more than I did when I was a teenager. And nope, same reaction. I fell asleep for a little bit during it. I thought it was boring as hell. And I think my Letterboxd review was like 1.5 star. Could not stand it. I was like, this movie is just a slog of a movie. So when Way of the Water came out, I was like, I'm good. I don't need to see this. I have zero interest. And then now we're doing this because Fire and Ice is coming out this week.
Fire and
And
Ash.
Fire and Ash. Sorry, Fire and
You
Ice is
see,
on else.
sometimes you mispronounce things, but that time you just said the wrong word.
So I'm looking right now. So Fire and Ash is coming out, and we're like, okay, maybe it's time for me to finally cover Way of the Water. And I gotta be honest, I like this a lot more than the original Avatar. I thought I was gonna hate this movie. I thought this was gonna be
Well,
a s-
okay, go ahead, but a little inside baseball. I texted Tommy. I woke up early on Sunday, and I had just cleaned my apartment the day before. Like I didn't have like things I really like pressing things I needed to do early Sunday morning. And then I just thought, I was like, what do I have to do to be productive right now? And I was like, oh, I have to watch Avatar. So then I put it on and I started texting you during it. We will get into the whole meat and potatoes of this thing. The first hour is, I think, the best part of the movie. The third hour is pretty good. It's a good finale. The second hour is excruciating. Like, I thought it was like
yeah.
pulling teeth. I could not believe how, for someone like me who, like, I feel like out of the two of us, I'm someone who has no problem watching something a little slower paced, maybe a little drier than the two of us out of our tastes with like longer dramas. Like, I went and saw Lawrence of Arabia in theaters, where it's like I can deal with it. But man, that second hour drags on to the point that you go, it did not need to be this long. It could have,
Yeah.
we could have done this in 2.5 hours.
Cameron at this point has so much power in Hollywood that he has no one that'll ever say no to him. Where if Cameron wanted to deliver a 5 hour cut of this movie, there would have been a 5 hour cut of this movie in
I
theaters.
so I I disagree with you on that one because one, he would do that, and two, well, maybe he wouldn't do that because I think he's so concerned about the financial success of these movies, and there's so much money put into them. Like whatever the budget says on Wikipedia for this movie, it's not even close to the R&D that has gone into the technology behind this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he basically, like, built a whole, like, different technology, especially with the first Avatar, then improved upon it. We'll get dive into it a little bit more. I do wanna touch real quick. So when this movie came out in 2022, we were covering that month, we covered, Lethal Weapon, The Holiday, and It's a Wonderful Life. So that's where our minds were at. We weren't at Avatar Land. I think maybe we also talked about Willy Wonka around that time. So basically, we were just like, yeah, we're not gonna talk about it. We could have had
I talked about it after I saw it, and what have you watched recently?
yeah.
Um, but which is a segment our listeners enjoy. It gives them a sectional taste of what we're doing. But this week we are going to forego that category to touch on the tragic death of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. We're not going to get into the speculation and the details. This is not TMZ. That's not what we
No.
do here. But if you do any research into the death and the reporting around it, it's very shocking and very sad that it was a stabbing and whatever rumored details are going on around it where I if for me, one thing that's really pissing me off is it's really junky, sensational journalism going on regarding this case right now, which just I don't
There's
like.
like a million different stories and like about like how oh this happened.
Yeah,
But regardless, it sucks. I mean, Rob Reiner shared a birthday with me. He was a birthday buddy of mine. And he was a great director. So we want to touch upon, his directing and everything like that. And this is shocking. I mean, he's a guy, he was 78, so he was old, but like
he just released a movie.
he released a movie like less than like 4 months ago.
You
Uh
saw it too, right? Spinal Tap 2?
Still have not seen it. Still wanna see it, and, definitely gonna move up on my watch list now. But overall, it's just, like, such a major loss because like, when you go through his whole movies, like, he had that whole run that's just going around Twitter where, like, he had basically, in the span of, like, his first, like, 6 movies
7
was
movies.
7 movies. He had This Is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men. That run is, like, unimpeachable. That run is incredible. Almost every single one of those movies, other than maybe The Sure Thing, is, like, now known as a totem classic in, like, each specific genre. Like, 2 of the best Stephen King adaptations ever of all time. One of the best mockumentaries of all time that basically birthed the genre of it. Harry Met Sally is, like,
Is
the rom-com.
the greatest rom-com of all time. I will fight anybody who says otherwise.
Yeah.
And because and here's the thing, anybody who's like, "No, it's not." Anybody who's gonna say any rom-com that came out that was you could only say, like, It Happened One Night or some other rom-com that predates When Harry Met Sally because every other rom-com is owes its existence to When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it is that influential, it is that iconic.
It plays so well, and there's a movie that, like, I remember I watched it over Christmas not that long ago with my family, and, like, it just played really well, and, it sucks, I mean, like, so a month ago, I had a friend come up from visit from New York City. Her, my girlfriend, and I ended up watching This Is Spinal Tap because I just got the Criterion, new 4K, and I haven't seen that movie probably in a decade. I think I talked about it on the pod
Yeah,
too.
you did.
And it just played so well. It played like gangbusters for us. We were dying, we were laughing. We all knew like this goes up to 11 scene, but it still played. It still would hit. And it was just like this guy was such a comedic genius. He was a guy that like he would pop up and like random sitcoms, like you have a cameo on 30 Rock and be like, "Oh yeah, Rob
He
Reiner."
was the
When you
cameo king, like, like, this is not even touching upon his, like, acting career as well, where
yeah,
he got his big break was All in the Family, he played the son. I've never really watched All in the Family because it really predates our time, but it was the
yeah.
biggest sitcom of the 1970s. Matt Parker and Trey Stone have said Archie Bunker, the dad, was literally the influence of Cartman. They said, "How can we get Archie Bunker back on TV?" And they said, "Well, you make him a 10-year-old boy."
Mm.
So, like, Rob Reiner's influence is 50 years in the making. I mean, his father was a legend, Carl Reiner. And I think of When Harry Met Sally, I think of the Princess Bride, which is probably the greatest fantasy story of its time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, The Princess Bride earlier this year, I had a chance to at work, we had Princess Bride screen of Carrie Ellis, got to meet Carrie, which is cool. But, Princess Bride played to about, like, 800 people or so, which is probably the largest crowd I've ever seen a movie with before. and it was just amazing. Like everyone was dying, everyone was losing their shit, everyone was cheering like during the like "You killed my father," like "I want my father back, you son of a bitch."
Yeah,
Um, and it just like played immediately. And it's just like a movie that like you'll watch that movie for generations and people are still gonna pick up on it. It's a Totenum classic, and Rob Reiner has like 6 or 7 of those. So, a real big loss.
"To Stand By Me" is, like, the quintessential coming of age story, just
Yeah.
completely captures the struggles of adolescence and is one of those really powerful movies that maybe you don't think about it that way because it's just based off of a novella by Stephen King, but it takes that work and transports it. And Stephen I saw something that, Stephen King 'cause this is after The Shining, which he famously hated that adaptation of The Shining, and he was blown away by how much it made him feel like the story he was trying to tell, like he was
Literally, like, there's a
crying.
story that's been circulating around that, like, he was, like, inconsolable, and, he came up to Rob Reiner after, like, after he was, like, crying. He said, "This is the best thing someone's ever done about one of my works." So,
Yeah,
yeah, it sucks. I mean, like, he still had it in him. I mean, like, it is, like, poetic in a way that his career started and began his directing career of Spinal Tap.
yeah, and then ended with Spinal Tap, but,
Yeah.
um, yeah, also, I think we have to shout out the legend Mad Max, in Wolf of Wall Street, just
Oh,
the
yeah.
epitome of a heat check performance, like
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Like, I shared that clip on my Instagram story this week where he's like, "Who the fuck is calling when I'm watching The Equalizer?" Like, god
yeah,
damn it.
oh, and then just Jordy, $26,000 at dinner? Well, they were the sides. They were the sides. Yeah. What are these sides cure cancer? Yes, yes. In fact, they did cure cancer.
Yeah, yeah,
Just unbelievable performance. Just like, especially in Wolf, which is like, it's such a chaotic, energetic movie. Reiner stands out in a way. Like, he brings this like angry energy and it's so funny. And it's so effortless too. Like, you watch that performance and you go, yeah, that guy's a surly son of a bitch. Like that guy hates everybody. He's just of that generation, right? Of like that, like post World War II generation of fathers that are just angry at the world. Like to me, I feel like that is probably what I will remember Rob Reiner for most. I feel like Wolf of Wall Street was one of those quintessential movie going experiences. I saw it on Christmas Day when it came out with my
yeah,
cousins. We went to like a 10-15 showing or something, and for me, it's one of those important movies that I remember watching and realizing there's more to the medium.
yeah,
Like, there's more to it than just your typical blockbusters, which is what we're covering on the podcast today. But there's just so much more to the way that you can tell a story and what a story can be about, and how you tell that story. I've said this before about Wolf, but the power of that movie is that people will take it the wrong way. It happens with The Sopranos, it happens with Goodfellas, it happens with Mad Men, it happens with all these kind of like more prestige shows where it's like, oh no, I want to be that guy. And it's like, that's not the message that this is going for. You're completely missing the point.
yeah.
But what was your Wolf story?
My wolf story was I saw in theaters with our buddies Will, Owen, and Gwen at the Alamo Draft House in Yonkers, and we didn't realize when we were seeing it that we were watching it in the middle of a blizzard in Westchester
Oh,
County.
I remember
Eh,
this now. Yeah, yeah.
and we had to drive home in Will's Mini Cooper, which is a car that's not built for a snowstorm
No, it's not.
whatsoever.
No.
I do remember that at one point, like almost immediately into the ride, we had to get out of the car and push the car up a hill so it could go up a hill. And then we were driving home and like ride to Yonkers to Rye is like maybe
20
30
minutes.
minutes. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And like it took us like maybe an hour and like 20 minutes because like we had to go like so slow, like 20 miles an hour. And the whole entire time, like I was just thinking like, oh, this is it. This is how I'm gonna die. This is how I'm gonna die. Like
Yeah.
freaking out. And then like we had to tell our friends, like as they got out of the car, we didn't stop to drop off our friends. We're like, okay, we're just gonna come to a slower, like slower speed. You just have to get out. Like, there's no way we can like restart
Yeah.
because the roads were not plowed at all. So, but regardless, great movie, Wolf of Wall Street, and Rob Reiner just amazing. I mean, it sucks that he's gone. I mean, I've been seeing so many clips of him, and there's one clip on social media that's been really touching. That was, I remember when this happened like 3 days before Kyle Reiner died 5 years ago. They did some like remake of The Princess Bride, where it was like one of those ones where like celebrity things during quarantine, where each actor like filmed a moment of the scene and like their own like apartment and stuff like that during quarantine during lockdown. And the final scene with the grandfather and Fred Savage was played by Rob Reiner and Carl Reiner saying the end as you wish. And that moment was like, oh my God, immediately really
Al
breaks you.
Also, just fun Wolf of Wall Street story. I came back and my mom was like, "So how was it?" And I was like, "It was great, it was amazing." I go, "You would hate it." She goes, "Why would I hate it?" I'm just like, "It's very raunchy, it's it's not your taste." Like, my mom likes nice movies.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't like The Godfather because it's sacrilege, right? Like, Wolf of Wall Street's not gonna be your cup of tea. But what does she do when it comes available on HBO? She watches it, and if you're unfamiliar with The Wolf of Wall Street, within the first 5 minutes of the movie, Leo DiCaprio is snorting cocaine out of a woman's ass, and she turned it off after that first 5 minutes where and then she told me, and I was like, "I told you you would hate this. Why didn't you listen to me? I know what you like, I know what you don't like. You're not going to like this movie."
Yeah. Come on, mom. That's not a mom movie.
No,
That's it.
that's not a Christmas classic to just put on with the family, you know?
Yeah, but Rob Reiner did have a lot of mom movies, like when Harry Met Sally being like the big one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you could put on any from that run that he had there, and and
And instant.
families will
But
love him.
yeah, so that's our tribute. I mean, RIP, tremendous loss. I mean, we're not gonna have another Rob Reiner out there, another guy with such a huge run. It's and be able to play in so many different genres perfectly. So, RIP.
That's, like, almost the unspoken part of that run is, like, it's a different lane each time. Each movie is different than the next. Versus, like, you see some people who go on these heat runs, and it's like, well, they just made 4 really excellent comedies back to back to back to back, and Rob Reiner just had 7 different kinds of movies.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane to think about that. Like he just was able to easily master rom com, horror, mockumentary, everything. So, like you said, again, just it's wild.
It is wild. Speaking of wild, this is Avatar: The Way of the Water.
The humans are returning. They're hunting us.
What's our plan?
This is our home. This is our family. This is our fortress. This is where we make our stand.
We must protect the people.
Let's get it done. Avatar: The Way of Water. Experience it in 3D. Tickets on.
Avatar: The Way of the Water is a 2022 American epic science fiction film directed by James Cameron, who designed the film to be played endlessly on loops in Best Buy to be able to sell QLED TVs. He co wrote the screenplay with Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. Distributed by 20th Century Studios, it is the sequel to Avatar 2009 and the second installment of the franchise. It features Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, Joel David Moore, CCH Pounder, hell of a name, Giovanni Ribisi, Dilip Rao, and Matt Gerald reprising their roles from the first film. It follows blue-skinned humanoid Navi named Jake Sully as he and his family, under renewed human threat, seek refuge with the aquatic Metakaina clan of Pandora, a habitable on oh man, this is when lore just gets exhausting, huh? A habitable
Yeah.
exo-moon on which they live. This is just in the intro of the Wikipedia article. When it's a little tough and a little bit specific to your tastes when you see the sentence, "The aquatic Metakayana clan of Pandora, a habitable exo-moon on which they live." That is a bit of a tongue twister if you ask me, Tommy. Um, yeah, I feel like I made my point a little clear when I made my jab at this movie being made to sell TVs at Best Buy.
You are right. I mean, you said that when we were watching it, and it definitely feels like that. There's one thing I'll say about this movie. that this is the most stunning movie I think I've ever watched on my TV,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like just like the whole entire like nature of it all, and it's wild to think that like 99% of this movie is all just digital effects. There was like on Wikipedia or on IMDb rather, they said there was maybe only like 2 shots that didn't use any VFX at all, which is just
That's
wild to think
crazy.
that it was able to render this like and make like the most lifelike looking like grass and water you've ever seen in a movie in a way that's better than like movies that are actually shot outdoors.
Yeah,
Uh,
this needs to be said. In an age of very bland-looking blockbusters, that is not a problem with this movie. And
yeah,
I would even say, like, storytelling-wise, I feel like I have issues with the story. I know you hated the first Avatar, and I get it. I haven't
yeah.
watched that in years and years,
My problem with the first Avatar was that it just felt like just world building and nothing else.
but it still had like, fish out of water hero's journey.
Yeah, yeah, but, like, I just wasn't, like, compelled or engaged with it. I just was disengaged. I thought it was just kinda boring where it's just, like, nothing really happened, and it was very familiar story beats we've seen over and over and over again, which, again, I'm a slasher fan, so I can appreciate familiar story beats, but, I guess in a way that was just, like, a 3-hour movie where I was like, "Ah, alright." Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I give a shit about Jake Sully or, like, any of the other characters.
Yeah, I think that's another issue of this one, by the way, where
Yeah.
you just go, "I don't know if I care about this." I was thinking this where the Na'vi, the blue people in this movie, you know, a lot of it is about the respect of the world and the connection that they have with nature, and I think it's very hard 'cause we said it. This movie is visually striking. It's easily the best special effects film that's ever been released. I don't know what you could contend it is, at least, like, in the CGI era of filmmaking. The rendering is unbelievable. It looks fantastic. It even looks good on your TV. It looked even better in a movie theater.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's one that, like, I do kinda regret now not seeing this in theaters when it first came out. And it's wild to think because like, in terms of, like, even, like, the performance capture, I was watching some special features on the 4K, which I rented, shot Best Video, and, they were talking about, like, how they did all the performance capturing, how literally, like I said, this is a movie where, like, I think there's maybe, like, 1 or 2 humans that, like, really have, like, big prominent speaking roles. So for the majority of the time, you're having, like, blue people speak to other blue people, and
Yeah.
James Cameron said that, like, the actors kinda liked it because when you're on set, it was almost like a black box theater for them, type thing, where they're just interacting with each other over and over again, and they have no idea what the sets are really gonna look like at when they're doing their in the middle of performance, so they just have to imagine everything, and they're pretty much just in, like, a white warehouse that's just stared down. They're all wearing those, like, mocap suits that we've seen over and over again with, like, the ping pong ball type
Yeah.
things on and everything, and yet somehow it's able to capture everything, and apparently this technology's increased with, the performance capture because it does look better than the first Avatar.
Yeah, I
Um,
would hope so. It took
like
what?
15 years
It took
or
13 years for the sequel to come out, which is crazy.
yeah,
Um,
and, the different performance capturing thing was apparently back in the day in the first Avatar, they only had 1 camera on the actor's face, like 1 HD camera to, like,
yeah.
capture everything, and this time they had 2 cameras, which was able to get even more range of motion on the actors' faces. They're doing everything, and it looks stunning, like, the whole Na'vi people, I mean, like, it's a huge visual upgrade from what we saw before. And it's just wow, because like, we've had movies with, like, performance capturing over the years. I mean, I remember the other big stunning one was in the first Avengers movie when you see Hulk, and I was like, "This is the best Hulk has ever looked." And then now performance capture's kinda lost its luster, then here comes James Cameron being like, "Alright, yeah, it's awesome. Here it comes again."
Yeah, James Cameron does have that effect and his relationship with technology. Just before we move on, that my point I wanted to make quick, and I think it was a disconnect I really noticed this time where the Navi and especially that second hour is essentially about the connection with nature that the characters have and the world around them and in this new world and area that they're living in, connecting with nature. And we just spent 5 minutes glazing this movie on how good and visually striking it looks. There still is the uncanny valley. right? Like there still is the you know it in the back of your brain. It's why AI can never take over and replace us. You look in the back of your brain and you go, but it's not real. Like the
Yeah.
back of your brain is just telling you, but it's not real. And then you spend all this time trying to connect with nature, and we just look at it and go, but none of this is real. It's all done on a computer. Like I know this is all done on a computer.
It is kind of funny that it's a big environmental message, yet, like, there's some, like, stat that was like, oh, like, a whole entire, like, data center was needed just to render this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, really good for the environment, Jim. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, preach me with your liberal agenda. What, you use a data center? Haha, I got you now, Jimbo.
This is the stat of IMDb that at some point, all available capacity of Australian, Amazon Web Service data centers was used to render scenes of this movie.
Yeah,
It's a
look at you now, Jimbo, dealing with big business. Yet you
yeah, yeah.
make your movie about environmentalism. What happened to America? What happened to this country?
So, like, it is a movie that we have to talk about the visual effects a lot, but a part of the problem is too that, like, I watched this movie 2 days ago, and it's hard to remember the big plot details and the big,
Well,
like, character moments. Yeah, because
there
that's
is
the
no
thing.
big character moments. That is like a giant part. Like Jake has the big character moments, but we spend so much time. Especially that second hour, we spend so much time with the kids
Yeah,
running around.
and
And
is it bad to say that, like, I couldn't tell the 2 brothers apart?
no, I couldn't either. I was having
Yeah,
the
yeah.
exact
I
same
could
problem, man.
I could tell which one was Sigourney Weaver, which is the cool part about Motion Cap that we have Sigourney Weaver playing a 14-year-old kid in this.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, "Is this Sigourney Weaver?" Because I know it's based on her character. And then I was like, "Oh, that this is Sigourney Weaver." Like that is weird because it does not look anything like Sigourney Weaver. It doesn't even sound like her.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like her at all. So I guess this is a part to bring this up. So in the Avatar franchise in general, you have to feel kind of bad for Sam Worthington that like he is the star of like $1 billion franchise. Yet
Of the
most
biggest movie,
yeah,
in terms of box office ever.
easily, but no one could pick him off the street because he
He's
just
he's not on the screen.
he's not on the screen whatsoever. He it's not like you're gonna see the Jake Sully Navi avatar like walking around the streets or something like that. You don't see Sam Worthington's like actual like human face at all once in this movie. Which I mean, like obviously for story point telling, but for an actor, that must sting a little bit. It's like I was in like two of the highest grossing movies of all time, and yet no one knows who I am. Now,
Honestly, I think for me, I'd almost prefer it that way, man. Where it's like I was in two of the highest grossing movies of all time. I've made more money than I'll ever need, and nobody knows who I am. Like that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful sentiment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess there must be a good part of that. But when you look at like his career, Sam Worthington between the two avatars, he had a little bit of a run for like the early 2010s, where like he was the guy you'd have in like random blockbusters. So like Avatar comes out, obviously a huge success. That same year, he had Terminator Salvation, where he was the human like cyborg android thing, which he got off the heels of like Cameron be like, hey, you should get him for this. And then from there, he has Clash of the Titans, and the sequel to that, Wrath of the Titans, which I feel like those 2 movies have already been forgotten at the time, and they're, like, a little more than a decade old.
I only knew about them after I looked at his filmography. I completely forgot that they came out.
Exactly, memory hold. I mean, I think that was the movie that had, like, "Release the Kraken," and that was the only thing I can remember about it. And then he was in a Schwarzenegger movie, Sabotage, which, again, forgotten. He was in Hacksaw Ridge.
I feel like he made bad decisions
Yeah,
after because I'm looking at his IMDb page right now. He has Clash of the Titans, Love and Distrust, The Debt, Last Night. Like he has a bunch of stuff come out in 2010. Do you want to know what people will probably most remember him for of stuff that he did that was released in 2010? The Call of
but
Duty Black Ops story is probably of his one, two, three, four, five projects that came out in 2010. The Call of Duty Black Ops story is probably the most famous thing he'll be remembered for from all of these projects that he did, which is
yeah.
just not how. Which one is it's a lot of oversaturation here, and I'm not sure how prominent he was in each movie, right? Like, because some of these could have been filmed before Avatar, and when he still needed the money, didn't have as big of an influence as he did at that time. But he just like, if your big follow-up is gonna be Clash of the Titans and it's just this middling early 2010s blockbuster, it just didn't work for him, and he never
Not at
really
all.
got to he never really got to A-list, where I look at Zoe Saldana and, like, she had the Star Trek revival the same year as Avatar.
Yeah.
So she had Avatar, where we don't see her at all, but we're like, "Oh, that's her," and then she's Ahura in Star Trek, so
Gamora.
where no, it's
Oh, it's a
Ahura.
horror.
It's
That's
Ahura.
talking about Guardians. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she went on to do Guardians, so she made much smarter post-career choices than Sam Worthington did. Like, Sam Worthington being some superhero or being some, like, federal agent in Nick Fury's crew somewhere, like, he could have been that guy in Marvel.
He could have easily been a shield agent or something like that.
Yeah, he could have
But
been a guy.
like Zoe Sandela is definitely like towards that like A-list thing where like she even was like Emilia Perez, terrible movie, but she won an Oscar. She's an Oscar winning actress now. Whereas Sam Worthington, that Clash of the Titans movie I was just talking about, even though it grossed like 500 million practically at the box office, it had a 22% Rotten Tomatoes score. So people were like not about that movie. It was like one of those movies that like I don't think I remember anyone talking about that when we were in high school.
No, that's one of those movies that if you went and saw it, you're probably too embarrassed to tell somebody that that's how you spent your weekend
Yeah, yeah,
in high
exactly.
school. I feel like Hacksaw Ridge is probably the most prominent movie he did post Avatar. Just going through his IMDb page here, I what is it? Paper Planes, The Keeping Room. Are these all ringing a bell to you guys?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
listeners at home, are these dinging bells for you? Going, man, that Sam Worthington, he had a run. He had a real run.
He became like the sixth guy in like a blockbuster where like he was in that Mount Everest movie, but he was like seventh down on the cast list right there. So like that became his like a real like niche. Where it's funny where like someone like Stephen Lang, I feel like Avatar was a huge career boost for Stephen Lang. Like we covered him, he was like a character actor back in the day where like we covered him in Manhunter, where it's so funny that like in Manhunter he looked like a goofy like little ginger like comedic
Yeah,
kind of guy, and then he grew into this kind of guy like the Avatar type character that he is, where he became like this like gruff military type, and he ended up having his own like projects where he was the star of those Don't Breathe movies, where he was like the whole entire premise was like, what if Stephen Lang was trying to hunt you down? Wouldn't that be scary?
yeah. No, it was a Stephen Lang is easily the best part of these movies,
Oh, yeah.
acting-wise.
And this movie especially, I think that his story was the most compelling part of this, where, like, the whole
It
entire, like, I love the sci-fi nature of it, where it's just like, "Okay, so Stephen Lang in Avatar 1, you died. Here's how we're gonna bring you back. Technically, you're not the same character. That character's dead. But
yeah.
we had a memory implant of your character from the first movie, and now he's in an Avatar. Now he's a Na'vi, technically."
Yeah, and I like how it's like, "Oh, could you explain it further?" No. He's back, okay? He was the best part of the first one. Do you really not want him in this thing's 3 hours long. Do you really not want him in it?
I think that's kind of why the first hour of this movie is the most compelling, like you were saying earlier, because a lot of it focused on Stephen Lang, and I just love that one scene where, there's the one kid in this, Way of Water,
Spider. That's the only kid's
Spider.
name I remember. I don't know if this is a I don't know if this is a bias of mine or not, but white people with dreadlocks just
No. Yeah,
look
no.
yeah, just look ridiculous.
Is Spider like the cultural appropriation, the character?
And this has nothing to do with cultural appropriation and has everything to do with you look ridiculous.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
I need this to be specifically clear here. Like, I don't really get up in arms about the all that stuff. It is what it is, right? The Spider thing, like, one, when Spider is on the screen, unfortunately for James Cameron, because like he hinges a lot of the story of this on Spider and Stephen Lang's character's relationship. He's just missing that one fun fact that this movie really the only times it really, really creeps into the uncanny valley is when the humans are on the screen next to the avatars, next to the
Yeah.
Navi. Like, that's the only time it really, really, really starts to creep into that, like, oh, like, it still looks really, really good, But when you go, "Oh, okay, yeah, everything I've been looking at has been pretty artificial so far."
Yeah, yeah, no, I do know what you mean, where it's like you have the one human interacting with them and, like, really on screen, and it makes it look, like, slightly more video gamey.
So white boy with dreads
Yeah,
and then Uncanny Valley makes me go, "Ooh,
yeah. It's kind
I don't know if I
yeah.
care."
It's kinda wild that, like, these movies were filmed back to back, like Avatar, Way of the Water, and
Well,
the new
they
one.
weren't really filmed back to back. They're filmed Avatar, like, Edie Falco, who I wanna just call it a heat check performance because it's Edie Falco and the iconic Carmela Soprano, Nurse Jackie, like, fantastic actress. I wanna call it a heat check performance, but it's not really. It's like a mail it in performance from her for her, like, 5 lines of dialogue in this movie. But
Yeah.
she sits there, like, and she said, like, "Oh," like, when this came out, I remember reading something where it's like, "Oh, yeah, I filmed that in, like, 2017." So, like, these weren't really filmed back to back. It was, like, figuring out how to make this look significantly better than the first one.
Oh, no, 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 they said that literally this was, shooted simultaneously with Way of Water, and the filming for this completed in 2020, for the new one, completed in 2020.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
literally they were 'cause, like, there's a quote from James Cameron that said, like, "I love Stranger Things, but then, like, all that show ends up being where, like, you have 27-year-olds, like, looking trying to play like they're 18, 17." And he's like, "We would kinda wanna avoid that." And it's one of those things where, like, that guy, Jack Champion, who played Spider, he's gone on to have a little bit of a career. He was a big part of Scream 6, and he's been in, like, other movies since then and stuff like that, so he's, like, been able to do it, and it's so funny because, like, in Scream 6, he's, like, a college kid, whereas this, he's, like, what, like, 10 years old? And those movies came out within a year of each other.
He looks like he's 15.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, it is kinda wild that that happens. But to bring back to what I was saying earlier, though, I think one of the best scenes of this movie in terms of, like, actual acting is Stephen Lang when basically they're trying to get information out of Spider, and Spider is basically not, like, giving up anything, and he said, "Let me try the personal angle." And he comes in, he talks to Spider, and he's like, "Listen, I'm technically not your dad. I don't have any DNA with that guy. Like, I'm essentially have no relation to you. I could just tell you to fuck off, whatever. But I could be a guide for you. I could help guide you. I could help, like, mold you and stuff like that if you let me help you." I thought that was just a very compelling little angle right there, where, like, this guy showed a little bit of compassion that we didn't see in any way, shape, or form in the first movie, from what I remember.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a it's a really nice, moment where we actually connect, I get father and son, surrogate father and son moment there. Um, but I think in the first hour, if we're going to talk about the first hour, the most compelling part is where the kids are exploring and they land on the original test site location from the first movie that's been abandoned, and the military arrives. That scene is peak James Cameron action sequence
Mm,
where
yeah.
Jake and his wife, whose character's name is, because I can't remember any of these characters' names except for Jake. When you start throwing weird syllables at me, I'm just I'm gonna lose the. Listen, longtime listeners know I struggle with names on the show. Okay, they know that it's not my greatest strength,
Now your bread and butter right there.
not my bread and butter.
But no, I do know the scene where, like, even the beginning where they're just, like, running around, they're going through the forest and have to bounce off beams, like, it did look really cool and really stunning in a way where, it was awesome, and I do like almost like the little nod. I mean, this movie obviously has similar design, aesthetics to Aliens, which we covered on the pod last
Yes, it
month.
did.
And, the whole entire thing with, like, Edie Falco, like, pretty much looks like she's in, like, one of those loaders that Ripley was in the end of, Aliens kinda thing. And, it's like, okay, fuck yeah, but there's one scene where, like, when Stephen Lang's whole crew comes onto the planet, and they're all, like, geared up and stuff like that, but it's Na'vi with assault rifles. I was like, "James Cameron's back in Aliens mode, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
Let's
what
go."
like, well, that's the thing. Like, he goes aliens mode for like
Briefly,
one
yeah.
scene in the first hour, and then like the last 30 minutes of the movie, he goes aliens. Well, he actually goes more Titanic
Yeah, yeah.
in the last 30 minutes of this movie, but it's It's a little bit of like a culmination of his whole career there, just bringing all these big moments together. But I think now it is time to discuss our beloved second hour. We can call it the second act of the movie. I don't even. This doesn't really have a three-act structure because it's so long. It feels a little bit more like a six-act structure, except the middle part of this movie is really boring. It
It's
is.
it's a slog. I mean, I was able to like turn off my phone for this whole movie where I was like, I'd text you like every bathroom break. Like that was the only time I was texting you where I was like, so yeah, this will just happen. This just happened. But like the second hour was really when like it kicked in where I was like, oh God, like this
Well, I
just
warned you. I did warn
you
you.
did, you did. So I was prepared because the first hour I was like, this movie kind of rocks. I think I kind of like it, this Avatar. Maybe I get it. And then when it got into it, where it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's sometimes where it's just like it wasn't compelling world building for me. I think that's what the problem is.
So for me, it's story. It's story and plot that really bring this second hour down. So after Spider is kidnapped by the soldiers and Jake and his family leave the tree forest, whatever clan they were a part of, he resigns as chief and he's like, because they're hunting us down, this will keep the people safer. We can go into hiding. And they go into hiding and they land on this water community. They basically arrive as fugitives. They receive the protection, but they're like, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to learn our ways, which is kind of what the second hour is all about, is about learning these water people's ways, but there's no compelling conflict. There's no compelling character conflict. Like, I'm not talking about like, if you know me and you know my taste, like I don't need big action sequences every 15 minutes where they're getting chased by, I don't need the Mission Impossible, right? Like I like it, but I don't need it in my movie. But it's a lot of like Jake being like, Sully, stay together. Do not embarrass me. We have to work here. This is what we are, blah blah blah, right? And it's these water people being like, you guys are all half breeds. Like there's all these little things that are like sprinkled in where you go, this could be compelling. This could actually end up being interesting. And then you just spend 20 minutes with one of the sons connecting with a whale.
Yeah,
And you just and it's again, it's more like lore, world building kind of thing, but it's like the kids get into a fight. And instead of that causing like I thought it would be more interesting if okay, the kids have this fight. Then we cut to Jake and his wife and then the clanmen and like the mounting pressure of them being like, "Hey, like this isn't working. You need to leave." Like having that more come into play. Like I think that's like just more compelling drama. It's nowhere in the story whatsoever. Like they are just there and they're safe. So it's all these little like it's like about these cultural differences between these different clans.
it also just feels like the movie just pauses almost, during that second hour.
Yeah, it's to show how visually stunning this movie is.
Exactly, and, like, as a tech demo, it's cool, and, like, it looks really cool, and I took a bunch of edibles before I watched this movie, and was like, "Hell yeah," when the water was on, but outside of that
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. 420 blaze it. What
Yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah, exactly, and I was just like, "Oh, the water scenes look cool," but, like, in terms of character stuff, it was not compelling. I mean, you'd think that, like, the second hour when they introduced Kate Winslet, it would be like,
Yeah,
"Alright, we got ourselves a movie," and instead, it's just like, "We got ourselves a boring second act right here."
it's really, really, really boring.
And
Like
I don't have anything to say about Kate Winslet in this movie practically, like, I she did
I
not
had to
register for
look.
me.
I couldn't even. Is she the water chieftain's wife or is she the
Yeah, 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 she's the water chieftain's wife that's, like, pregnant.
pregnant? Yeah. I had to look up. Like I saw in the credits after Kate Winslet. I was like, Kate Winslet was in this.
Mhm.
And then I saw some character name, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna research this any further. There's no point in that. Um, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
took
and
a shot in the dark where I just said like it's probably the water chieftain's wife if I had to guess. But it's
and
like
the chieftain's, like, a good actor, the guy, Cliff Curtis, who's, like, a character actor in so much shit. He was, like, the star of, The Walking Dead Fear the Walking Dead, show and stuff like that, and
yeah,
again, he barely registered. I mean, he registered a little bit more for me, but, like, it was weird that
they're not even in that second act. They come in like very supporting roles, very
yeah.
supporting roles, and there's not like there it like hints at all these conflicts that I'm talking about, which is why I feel fine like kind of pronouncing it and not being there in the story because it talks about this cultural differences. It talks like there's little moments of the kids really not adjusting to this new way of life. Like, right? Like it's all these seeds are there, but it's like a scene of it. And then it doesn't go any further than that.
Yeah, yeah, it just doesn't hit, and it sucks because like, that could have been compelling, there could have been, like, some interesting, like, more
Character drama.
conflict in character drama, more character moments and stuff like that. Instead, it just feels like, James Cameron just, like, fucking, "Look at my fucking water dick, look at how amazing this looks."
Yeah, it's look how big my dick is. Here's look at the water.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look at how big my balls are. It's and then the third act, it kind of just starts where the military just is like, oh, they must be in the water world, right? They just randomly start going this way, and they torch another village, and then they're on the boat with these hunter guys who are just introduced to you 2 hours and 10 minutes into the movie, and then we find out that these whales that we just got introduced to have this very valuable substance that's that stops aging, which cool, whatever. But why am I finding this information out 2 hours and 10 minutes into the movie? It is only, like, slightly hinted at that these whales are being hunted by these poachers.
We could have had, like, a scene of, like, them, like, attacking more poachers or something like that.
Yes, being like, I didn't know there was human presence here." Like, I didn't know there was the outsider presence here. Like, we don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
any of that, and then it just changes into this it changes into this, but, like, the military coming down to find them, it just happens, like, there's no,
Yeah.
like, we watch the military guy connect bonding with the flying dragon thing, and then they're out Stephen Lang's out of the movie for 30, 40 minutes, and then all of a sudden, they're just rolling up on the beach, and I'm like, "What happened? Where is his character hunting? Like, where is him just going to that old village, destroying everything, and interrogating someone and getting information out of them?" Like, it's just not there in the movie.
It does feel weird because like, he is the villain and stuff like that, but it is a problem, I think, with this in terms of character moments, where whenever Steve Lang was in this movie, for the most part, I was compelled. I was like, this is interesting. This is something." And the second he got off the screen, other than, like, visually stunning, I was like, let's get back to Stephen Lang and what he's up to."
Yeah, and I'm almost a little worried we're getting repetitious here, but you can't discuss this movie without discussing this second hour because it is a huge roadblock. Like I went to before I watched the movie, I went to dinner with some friends and I was telling them, oh, they asked me what a movie we were covering. I told them Avatar Way of the Water. He was like, "Yeah, man, I tried to watch that on Disney Plus. I couldn't make it through it." Like I
Yeah.
imagine a lot of people had that reaction to this where it's
Mhm.
if you didn't go and see it in theaters, but you're like, "Oh, Avatar's out. Okay, I remember watching that in high school. Okay, let me put that on quick. I'll throw that on. Maybe watch it over 2 days, whatever." And then you just get to that second hour, and then you just go, "Why am I watching?" Because it's really lacking. It's really lacking conflict. It's really lacking drama.
It's lacking anything compelling. So, to make ourselves not like sound like a runaway train, I do have to admire like how like there's something in the water in like 2020 in the 2020s that we've had so many water-based movies to the point that we had like Aquaman come out, we had Black Panther 2 come out, and we had this, and we had like Underwater, the Kristen Stewart movie, and it's
Percy
just so funny.
Jackson, the TV
Percy, yeah,
series,
yeah, the Percy Jackson, the TV series and all this, where, like, there's definitely something, like, for some reason, people are like, "Yeah, now we can do visual effects on water, let's go."
it's it's kind of like early 2000s video games. All of them took place on a beach.
Yeah, yeah, and there's one thing that I was thinking about, I never really watched the show, but I know an ongoing plot line in Entourage was that James Cameron was gonna direct
He
Aquaman.
does direct Aquaman, yeah.
He does direct Aquaman, and I was thinking, like, "Okay, so this is what James Cameron's Aquaman would have looked like," and,
Well,
like
he's done The Abyss,
yeah.
he's done
So
Titanic, and now he's
yeah,
done Avatar: The Way of the Water.
something of
Um,
water and James Cameron.
wait, there was a clip that just came around, because James Cameron's infamously, like, an adventurer, he's taken a subversal down to the wreckage of the Titanic, and there is a clip of them getting called up from an expedition, and Bill Paxton is there, and Bill Paxton is the person explaining to James Cameron 9/11 just happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
It's
so funny.
insane.
It's insane, it's so funny, and, like, it's not like anything insensitive is being said, like, he is just he's like, "This is the worst terrorist attack that ever happened, 2 planes were" like, he is giving this, like, very stern description of 9/11, like, very real, and then James Cameron's just kinda narrating over, being like, "Yeah, when we realized what the news was, we weren't that mad that we had to come back to see this was a bigger issue than us exploring the Titanic." Like, it's just like the context of all of it put together is just very, very funny. But James Cameron
Yeah.
definitely has an affinity for the water and the ocean.
Yeah, yeah, and this time he didn't drown anyone because I still haven't seen The Abyss. That's my one Cameron blind spot, and, but I do know that, like, Ed Harris is like, "I'll never fucking work with that guy again because like, so many actors, like, almost drowned on that movie."
Common theme with James Cameron, a lot of people being
Yeah,
like,
yeah, even
"I'll n never work with him again."
Kate Winslet said that for years, that she's like, "Oh, you have to pay me a lot of money to work with James Cameron again." And I guess she did, but, there's a whole big, like, stat on this movie that, Kate Winslet broke Tom Cruise's underwater filming record from Rogue Nation, and she had a record of 7 minutes, and 15 seconds,
Well, I feel like
underwater.
he broke that in The Final Reckoning for sure.
Was there a underwater sequence in Final Reckoning? I forget.
And yeah, the whole thing where he scuba dives to the submarine,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
he's
what am I talking about?
underwater in that for 20 minutes.
Yeah, 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 I was thinking of Rogue Nation again, where I was like, what was this done that? But regardless, yeah, so yeah, somehow Kate Winslet didn't drown, thank God, but James Cameron definitely pushing the limits right there, and you can kinda see it. In some ways, it's like, "That man, that son of a bitch, he's done it again," but it does suck to think with Avatar. You wish James Cameron would just do something else at this point. I mean, why is he feeling I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He's making billions of dollars, so he is, like, vindicated by it, but
Can I ask a very real question here? How did this make $2.3 billion? I
right.
just have to ask because, like, okay, the first one is novel. It's James Cameron, his first movie in 12 years since Titanic, which was the biggest movie of all time when that came out, and it was right in the hype of the 3D effects where it's like, you have to see this in 3D. Like, this is revolutionary, it's game changing, it's visually striking, blah blah blah, list of adjectives. And then Avatar, the Oscars happened. It won visual effects stuff, but it didn't win any big best picture or anything. And then we just sat there for the entire 2010s waiting for Avatar 2, except nobody was really waiting for it because it just slipped out of public consciousness
Yeah, completely.
completely. And then this came out and it made so much money. And I wonder if it's because it's such a big leap visually from Avatar to Avatar 2 that people were more compelled to go see it in theaters, or it's like
I think that this movie plays, like, very well internationally, but even then, domestic gross, including the 2025 re-release, this has made, like, over $600 million at the box office, which is an insane thing because, like, this isn't a movie I ever heard, like, coworkers talk about. They're this is not like I've heard coworkers, like, through years, like, talk about, like, Sinners or something like that, or, like, the new Creed movie or something like that, but, like, Avatar: Way of the Water is never one that I hear, like, people in my workplace or, like, anything or, like, any conversation. I never heard someone say, "Yo, I just watched A Way of the Water last night. You gotta go see it." Like, and, like, I interact with people. I talk about movies a lot with my friends and coworkers,
you
and
know.
exactly, and it's just something that, like, I know that, like, it gets beaten to death with Avatar, but it's just so weird that, like, this movie, like, does not have any cultural cachet. I don't see the, like, memes of Avatar on the internet. I
The
don't
biggest
see
joke was Ben Affleck dressing as a Na'vi at the Oscars. Like, that was the cultural cachet moment, and then we moved on from Avatar. It did not.
exactly, and, like, the 13 years in between the 2 movies, like, I think the only thing I heard about Avatar was that it had no cultural cachet, and it had no cultural impact, and again, like, it's wild to me that these movies make 2 billion because like I don't think these are.
I don't know if Fire and Ash is gonna do as well because I think there was the intrigue of like, all right, it's been over a decade. Like, let's see what you got, Jim. But
Yeah.
now it's only a 3-year gap, and you go, oh, do I really need to watch this one?
And again, like I've heard no anticipation from like anyone about Fire and Ash outside of like people we interact with on like, film Twitter and shit like that. But that's its own niche, you know?
I've heard wildly varying because there's been a lot of advanced screenings of this. Uh, Wildly varying takes on this. Where I heard someone compare it to Return of the Jedi, where it's like it's a little bit, it's fat and it's bloated. Third movie in a franchise, and it's not like there's great moments, but it's not great. And then you send something saying that like this will make Way of the Water feel irrelevant. So which kind of intrigues me. Where I go, I don't know what I'm gonna get. It's one of those where it's like I'm have a very busy holiday schedule coming up. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to see this until the New Year's.
Yeah.
You know, so
I
I
don't
don't.
know. I might skip Fire and Ash, to be honest.
Well, yeah, for you, I totally get that. The only intriguing thing is that it's a James Cameron movie coming out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's
That's
always
the
that.
most intriguing thing to me about it, where it's like he's one of the greats. Do you really want to
Eh,
skip it? Do you really
yeah.
not want to watch another James Cameron movie? And if we didn't cover this, I think I would have been more intrigued by Fire and Ash after because I had a more positive view of this movie leaving the theater than I did watching this at home.
That's also probably part of it. I mean, like, we've talked ad nauseum about how the theatrical experience is always better. And I can't imagine like the first Avatar, I'd probably hate it even more if I saw it at home than I did like the 2 times I saw it in theaters. But Way of the Water, I mean, I didn't hate this movie like I thought I would. But even with my surround sound system, I was thinking like in IMAX this probably would have played like fucking gangbusters.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy, who is the star of the show? Who gave the best performance?
This is a weird one where, like, it's just like, not that many
I
to talk about.
I
We don't have many people to shout out. I mean,
can I shout out? I mentioned her before. Can I just shout out Edie Falco for just cashing a check?
yeah,
Can I just shout out somebody who clearly had no interest being there whatsoever and did not and made it very clear on the screen, but probably was like, yeah, it's a week's worth of work and there's $5 million in it. And she goes, okay, I can do that.
yeah.
I can
It
do
makes
that.
you wonder if she's, like, being set up more for this new one. She's getting
I could definitely see that where maybe the military's more involved in this one. But yeah, it felt a little bit she was cashing it in. It's Stephen Lang, right? Like his character as
yeah.
the lieutenant is just or the colonel is he's just very compelling. You can tell he's just having a lot of fun on the screen. It
Oh,
really
yeah,
comes
yeah.
through. The family's performances are all just very flat, very
It's
milk toast. It's the problem with stoicism in film. It
yeah,
really is. It's like it just doesn't if you're gonna do a stoic character, it needs to be like a James Bond. There needs to be something more compelling to the character that we're going to get. And then when you fracture your movie across 6 different people, you kind of you lose the moments to actually develop these characters and make them likable. And I think that's just a big issue of this movie.
yeah, yeah, and, like, I guess maybe, like, design choices and stuff like that obviously, like, the Navi, we talked about how we struggle to tell the difference between 2 of the siblings, and I think that's probably part of the movie. There's probably something James Cameron could have done to make them more visually distinctive between the 2 that we would have been able to tell them very quickly, and, maybe there's some people that are Avatar heads. I don't know if we have any Avatar shooters
Yeah,
listening to
so
this.
I have a quote from a friend of ours, friend of the show, Will Finnerty. And because he's the only person
The one
that I know that has been like, I'm hyped for the new Avatar. I really love Avatar. One of the things he said is he said, "I think these movies are really cool because they parallel to how things happen in the real world, and if we found a planet like this, how we as humans would behave." This is a quote because I texted him. I just said, "Hey man, I know you like Avatar. Can you tell me what you really like about it?" Because like I don't know many people that would be willing to publicly quote themselves on Avatar. But I think that is an interesting thing where it's like there is the real human behavior of like if
Yeah,
we found a planet like Pandora and all these resources, we would 100% be there mining and drilling and taking all their resources, not giving a shit at
killing
all,
them. Yeah, yeah.
without even question. Like that's what we would do. Um, so I think that's cool. I think for us, the way we digest film, that doesn't necessarily always play into account, especially in like a fantasy story like this, where I go, Yeah, but I'm watching a bunch of blue people for 3 hours. I don't it doesn't need to be the real world."
Well, it's not that just we're watching a bunch of blue people because there can be like compelling versions of the story that are done really well. Not that this is done like poorly or anything, but like in terms of story quality, there could be more and more stuff that like camera could have taken more interesting narrative choices or maybe cut down the running time. Because like we said, this
Yeah.
first hour, we were compelled, and Stephen Lang is a big part of that. He's definitely a star of the show for me. I thought Sigourney Weaver was fun as the daughter, but again, she was weird having her play a 14-year-old kid. But that's
Shout
performance
out
capture for you.
shout out James Cameron paying Kate Winslet enough to come back.
Yeah, that's it.
That's,
That's
that's a
about
big
that's about it.
that's a big get for him. But yeah, I none of the performances really, really, really stand out. Maybe it's the mocap and
Yeah,
just that way. It's really hard to give that exemplary performance when you're so much of it like when I think of a mocap character, I think of Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbeans. Like I think that's probably the greatest mocap visual effect character we've ever gotten. And so much of that character works because of the design of the character itself. And I don't think that the Navi necessarily give us that
yeah.
in that same way.
Yeah, yeah, but there is something in my dumb action movie brain, seeing a bunch of Na'vi dressed up in military gear just activated something in me, I was like, "Let's go." So, that was one of the only moments of this movie that made me go like that.
Where you just go, are we getting Aliens 2.0?
Yeah.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, Tommy, does Avatar: The Way of the Water work as a Muppet adaptation?
Fuck it, just make it Blue Muppets.
Yeah, just make them
They're
all
the
blue. Make them all
Yeah, yeah.
blue.
Make
Um,
the technology, like, degraded from, like go from, like, mocap to instead just puppets walking around, and there you go. Very easily
this would
translates.
take 20 years to make with Muppets. Having a
Yeah,
puppet this entire thing? Oh my
and
gosh.
and they get wet and everything, yeah, it'd be a
Yeah,
nightmare.
it would be a nightmare. Disney does own both of these franchises, so theoretically it could happen. There could be just like a little Muppet skit on Avatar if the release schedule of the Muppet thing was gonna come out with the release of an Avatar, they would probably synergy, right? Like, that's important, Tommy. We gotta synergize, we gotta make sure these things go hand in hand, but yeah, no, I would not pursue this as a Muppet adaptation.
Yeah.
Alright, review time, Tommy. Give me a score out of 5.
So I'm shocked. I expected going in, hate this completely, and this podcast did feel like I was, like, shit on it a lot, but there were some things I did like. First hour I thought was compelling. Stephen Lang was good in there, and I thought that his dynamic was really interesting throughout. I like the whole recombinant thing and stuff like that, and the action set pieces are incredible.
That's always James Cameron's bread and butter.
Yeah, if there's one thing James Cameron's gonna do, he's gonna shoot the fuck out of the movie. This is one of the most stunning movies I've ever seen in my life in terms of visual effects and stuff like that. The second hour though just drags this movie down, and if you just trim that a little bit, I think this could have been an entire movie. But again, who's gonna say no to James Cameron at this point in his career? Uh, I'm gonna go down the middle. I think this is like a 3 out of 5 for me, which is shocking because Avatar 1 was a 1.5 out of 5 for me. So,
And
like this a lot more.
that's really low for you. You gave Batman vs Superman 2 stars. So I mean,
Yeah.
you really hated that thing.
I'm not an
Uh
Avatar guy, not
No. I think this podcast has made it clear that neither of us are really Avatar guys. But I think for me, I'm at a 2.5 out of 5, maybe even a 2. That second hour was painful. It was
Yeah.
excruciating. I think on a first watch, it plays better because the visual effects, at least for me, the visual effects are so striking, you can just get absorbed in it, and then you just kind of forget what's going on with the story. I think movie theaters also help with that experience, but when you're sitting at home, putting on a movie that you're like, "I have to watch this, I don't really wanna watch it," and then you're a little more critical of it, and then I'm sitting there and I'm just like, "Ooh, all the wind was taken out of these sails here."
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can go higher than that after that second hour.
I I
It
I do know what you mean, and I think that, like, my point 5 bump from you from not being a 2.5 for me is almost probably strictly because I took a bunch of edibles before I watched this, and, my
Yeah.
monkey brain was just like, "Oh, water looks so cool, holy shit."
Need love, water. Ooh, ooh, ah.
Yeah, if I watched this sober, it would've been a 2.5, but, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, started this at 8 in the morning, so yeah, I saw it and I'm like, "Great, I never have to touch this movie again. I never have to watch this thing again." Uh, and that's kinda how I feel. Shout out Giovanni Ribisi for just showing up in a scene and getting a title bill. Like, that's cool. Good for you, man. Earn that paycheck. He probably shot it in, like, 2013. He's probably like, "Listen, I gotta get to the set of Ted, okay? Like, I can't I can't be staying here."
Well, now he's a big time cinematographer.
Yeah. Is he actually?
He, shot that movie Strange Darling, and apparently that movie was known for its big cinematography,
Mm, I
so,
didn't know that. Good for him,
yeah.
good for him. But, alright, Tommy, fun episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Blue People. Yeah,
Blue people.
yeah, that's it. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on social media. That's at Scene It Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and we're also on Blue Sky. That's podscene.bluesky.social. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. And next week, unfortunately for me, but I guess fortunately for the Potter fans, we're covering a Harry Potter movie. Timmy's finally making me cover one. We're covering Prisoner of Azkaban. I heard
Harry
it's one of the
Potter
best
and the
ones.
it
We'll see how I do it.
it is the
Recover
best one.
yeah,
We'll see how you make it through it.
yeah. So, come
But
check it out.
thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next time.